use resources to make things happen. If you want to grow your company, you have to have a plan. It's not just going to grow out of nowhere. So when you want to hire that first person and when you want to grow your company, you really need to think about like what you have to offer them. And it doesn't mean you have to offer them benefits and fancy vacations and all. You don't have to do that, but you have to pay attention to what matters to them.
Hiring your replacement. We don't want to hire the weed whacker holder guy. That's not who we want to hire. We want to hire our direct replacement. We want to hire the first and next foreman.
The more systematized you can make your life and your company, the easier it will be to hire someone. So anything that you can systematize will save training and time within your company. Once you find a good employee, you need to figure out how you take care of them. Simply asking for feedback.
You hired him. What's wrong with you, right? And I've hired plenty of those dudes. Believe me, it all falls on the leader. You are, as the owners, you are the visionaries. You are the people that know where the company is going, and you have to be the leader.
I want to welcome up our next speakers. Hopefully you've already met them in person, at least on video. This is Caleb and Brittany Auman. They are from Ohio and have made the trip down for the event, so I really appreciate that. And they operate Auman Landscapes, the Hardscape Academy. Is that did I get both those right?
Good.
All right, y'all welcome up Caleb and Brittany Auman.
All right. Every time I do this, I wonder, why do I agree to this stuff? I'm already off script. So now my wife, Brittany Auman here, she likes to do things by the book and to the plan, and I'm already off script here. So my love, that's why I love you. You bear with me nonetheless. Hey, everybody. Britt, do you?
You're supposed to start, actually.
Oh, we practiced this last night. We should know better. By the way, if you couldn't tell already, we're not professional speakers, but our goal is to help people through the many mistakes and lessons I've learned and we have learned together running a company. And that's what we're going to talk about here today, is how to get beyond yourself in the truck, if that's what you want, because you have to want it if you're going to make it happen. Right out the gate, who here uses a budgeting software or a bidding software, estimating, but with an emphasis on budgeting, knowing how much you should charge? And I'm gonna throw that out to a software, or John Pajak. He is a Flesh software there. He is your guy. He has a spreadsheet thing. So do you use John Pajak? A show of hands, please. Do you use a budgeting software to help you know how to recover your overhead? Okay, cool.
Okay.
This is what we're going to talk about as to why people aren't doing this and why you're screwing up if you're not. If you're not talking to John Pajak or using Element or Synced Up, and Yardbook is your CRM and all that stuff, it all goes hand in hand.
Right, and I know Jason brought us here to talk about like getting out of the truck and starting a crew and stuff, but this is like, we're going to bring it all together, I promise. But for those of you who do not use software, can anyone shout out why you don't, or why you don't have budgeting anything? Is it price, or you just don't know how to use, or scared of the software? All of the above.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's me this time. So Jason brought us here to talk about getting out of the truck and growing your first crew. And the only way I can consciously say how to do that is by telling you, you have to know your freaking numbers. You have to know about your business. You have to understand how it's actually financially possible and a lot of other stuff. So it's easy, go buy the truck, go finance a truck, get the equipment. That's freaking easy, folks. Selling work and knowing how to price that work is how you make that growth happen. And marketing and all that. It's a big onion, folks, and we all got to take a big bite of it if we want to grow. But this is where we're going.
Okay, so to give us a little bit of credibility, I'm just going to tell you about us. Okay, so we're, like Jason said, we're out of Ohio. We are primarily a hardscaping company. We do landscape and maintenance a little bit. We have 4 full-time guys in the field. Last year, we did around $800,000 in revenue. Our goal this year is $1.3 million. We have 3 kids. We homeschool one of them. Like Jason said, we have the Hardscape Academy, which is a training platform for the industry getting into hardscaping. We have the Kid Contractor podcast. And
the Kid Contractor podcast.
We also host a marriage conference for the industry called Together in the Trades, and it's for couples that work together.
And to kind of run off that a little bit, while I'm up here preaching numbers, and you should do this, and you should do that, I was the guy that didn't do that for almost 15 freaking years, the 23 years I've been in contracting. So to run this backwards, no, we don't have everything figured out. We still don't, and maybe never will fully. But and this is maybe my claim to fame, but I grew my first company to, I forget what revenue, it doesn't matter. Revenue is irrelevant, right? Profit is what matters, like Paycheck says. Profits with Paycheck, check that out if you're not
I think
already.
you made
It's
it
gonna
to
help you get there.
600,000.
In my first
Yeah.
company? Really? Was that? So, again, doesn't
That
matter.
unsuccessful. Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. I went bankrupt in 2008. Like, I went freaking broke at 600K. So top line doesn't mean shit, folks. It doesn't mean anything. Excuse me for the kids in the room. I do apologize. But it doesn't mean anything. So before we get hung up on like what revenue is and we do this in business, it doesn't matter. It's bunk. Profit and bottom line is what matters. And that's what we're talking about today. That's what allows you to grow and scale. It's not top line. It's irrelevant. So the reason I preface that and bring that up, because I'm going to be up here preaching, a lot of preaching, right? I got the podium, the whole thing, here we're ready to go. But I've been broke. I went broke. When we finalized being broke, essentially, I had 20 freaking bucks. And I'll tell this story real quick to back up. Like, and if I can do it without choking up, this is crazy. But like, went bankrupt, completely broke. I had $20 in my name, driving up this hill in my crappy, beat up, blue, two-wheel drive Chevy truck with a smoking hot chick next to me. And I'm thinking, I'm never going back to this. I'm never going back to this position and putting her in this position again. And so here we go.
Okay. So there are 145 of you out here today. On average, only 3% of you guys are going to take action on something that you learn, not just from our presentation, from the entire conference. That's 4 of you. So what we're asking you to do is to pick 3 things from the entire day. You're going to leave with pages of notes, and you're going to have all these great ideas, but only 3 of them are going to be actually actionable that you can take home and do. So which one of you guys are going to be one of the 4 that take something home?
Because it's super easy to get into this thing and get super hyped up, and I get in these events and I want to leave like halfway through because I'm going to go home and take over the world. I'm going to uproot my company. I'm freaking pumped, right? We're going to the moon, right, Jeremiah? Top line to the moon, right? Again, top line not mattering. But we're going crazy, right? But the thing is, you get home, and when you folks are back at work Monday, flat tires are waiting on you, angry clients, broken hydro lines. It's all waiting for you, and it's lurking and praying out there in the shrubs and grass and bushes. So this is why I believe you need to be leaving here with 3 actionable things, be it our talk or whatever. So we need to be leaving here. What 3 freaking things are we actually going to take from this investment we put into it? And by the way, of the 4 of you that will actually do something with the information this weekend, I mean actually do something with it. Of the 4 of you, what are those things? What are those things you're actually going to freaking do? And to bring that back up, still of the 143 or 150 of you that are here, props to you because there's still thousands of people out there who didn't come to this or don't go to trainings. So you're already in a league of your own. So props to you folks for coming and investing in yourselves and investing in your business and your family's future. Because that's what we're doing it for, right? Is our freaking families. Sorry, I get amped up. I'm possibly the most amped up for a speech I've ever given today, and I'm not sure why. But the numbers thing has really become passionate to me. And yeah, I'm just super amped up. So, like I said.
Okay. So before... Okay. So we need to start with the basics, right? So the first thing we have to do before we bring other people into the business, we need to have a business plan. We need to have a mission statement. We need visions. We need goals for the company. I know that sounds cheesy. I know all the Instagram reels out there say all the great things about that. But you actually have to have it, because without a clear vision and expectations for your company, your employees that you're hiring will have nowhere to go. They won't know what their career path looks like. They won't know why they're working there. Your customers won't know why they should hire you. So having a business plan and knowing where you're going the next year and 3 years and 5 years and even 10 years. And one thing that we like to do is we work our life backwards. So what do we want our life to look like in 30 years when we want to retire? And we work backwards from that. What milestones do we need to hit along the way to get there?
Business is your book that you're getting to write, and you get to write it from end to beginning, or end to wherever you're at right now, right? This is where we ended up, and this is how we get there. So it's your book, it's your story, you get to write it. There's not a lot of things you can do that in life. So you have an opportunity to craft your life the way you want to see it.
The second thing that we think that you have to grow your company is some type of software or some type of systems within your company. I know it became easier for us to grow and to understand our numbers once we started using a budgeting software. I don't care which one you use. We're sponsored by one. There's another one back there. There's other ones out there that other people in the room use.
And if you don't want to do a software and you want a more hands-on approach, my pal John Pajak back there, he'll set you up and figure it out. Like if you want more one-on-one thing, you don't want to deal with the software. But I'm begging you and I'm imploring you, you have to do this stuff if you want to be a real business, because you have to decide, either way is fine, but you have to decide, are we going to be business people or are we going to be a service provider that mows the lawn or puts pavers down? Which are we going to be? Are we going to be business people or are we going to be just a service provider, just a worker essentially, a glorified, just a glorified employee essentially, right?
And the next thing you need is a bookkeeper. We are a year and a half into having a bookkeeper, and I'm embarrassed to say that. We should have had one 10 years ago. And Caleb and I talked about last night, like, at what revenue do I think we could have managed having one? And just so you know, what our bookkeeper does is they reconcile our bank accounts every month, and now we added on some services where they pay our bills and just kind of manage us. But we were the company that this guy's back in the corner like, dear God. Yeah, we're your worst clients. We were the people that would turn our books in at the end of the year and ask our accountant to reconcile it for us. So that was a while ago.
And what is reconciling for folks that don't know?
You match your transactions in QuickBooks to your actual bank account and categorize everything so you know what you spent in fuel, so you know what you spent in cost of goods sold, so you know what you spent on shop rent. Those are all things that you need to know that we weren't necessarily tracking, so we weren't recouping all of those numbers. So between our bookkeeper and our software, they have us kind of on the road to recovery.
Yeah, and we use a different CPA, but landscaping. If a handful of you don't have a very serious conversation with the bookkeepers in back, and if you're not doing bookkeeping, because I get it. I've been in the field. I've done all that. You're in the field 12 hours. Last thing you want to do is go home and crank your book, see if we made any money today. It's the last thing you feel like freaking do it. And there's a reason your clients aren't asking you to keep their books, right? That's not your job. It's not what you do. You're not bookkeepers. We're landscapers. We're hardscapers. We're lawn care professionals. That's what we're freaking good at. And we work in our companies to a point where we hire out the people that do what they do best. And those weird bookkeeper people, they love that stuff. I don't get it, but they love that. And thank God. It's what makes the world go around, is people loving what they do. So if a handful of you don't talk to somebody in back about that, you're really doing yourself and your family a disservice.
And the last thing we need before we really get into it is we need a marketing plan.
We just be good.
So we need to know, and I know people have talked about this already today, so we're not going to go too hard on it, but.
Jason's like, what have we done? What have we done bringing them on the stage?
Okay, so our marketing plan, you guys, it's intimidating. We're lawn care and landscape guys. I know it's not our thing. I talked to someone about it a little bit ago, but use resources to make things happen. So typically you're going to advertise for the next season services. Like you're going to start advertising for summer stuff in the spring, Christmas lights in the fall. So you know what needs advertised when. So you hire someone on Fiverr, you hire someone to run your ads, and you just kind of push it aside. But you still need an overall plan. If you want to grow your company, you have to have a plan. It's not just going to grow out of nowhere.
It's not going to grow healthily. Is that a word, healthily?
I don't know, but it could be today. Okay.
I know I'm up here yelling. I'm kind of realizing I need to maybe rein it in a little bit, folks. Sorry, I'm super excited.
All right, so let's talk about hiring people. The secret to my success, Steve Jobs said, the secret to my success is that we have gone to exceptional lengths to hire the best people in the world. And I know we're Apple people. Every time we go there, it is an experience. They have created an experience, and that's what we're striving to do in our company with our guys and with how we handle all the way from the phone call to the final payment that we get on a job. And so how many people go into hiring with good intentions in the spring? Like, yeah, we're going to hire people and it's going to be great. And then you start to run out of time because winter got short and it didn't snow. And it ends up looking like this. As long as they show up, we'll give them a shirt and hope that it works.
Mark Bradley used to, back in, if anybody's familiar with Mark Bradley, Aumans software, he had a $50 million landscaping company and sold it here in the last few years. But way early in his company, his policy used to be, he would go to the truck in the morning and he'd have new hires in or whatever, and he'd have t-shirts and he'd throw them a t-shirt. And if they were sober enough to catch the t-shirt, they were on for the day. We've all been there, folks. We've all been there. We get it.
And we have definitely hired like this before. So Okay, so the biggest question when you're getting ready to hire someone, especially your first guy out the gate, would you go work for your company? Would you go work for yourself? Well, you already do. You already do. But would I come work for you? Would I enjoy that? Would I enjoy my day-to-day job? Would I feel like I had a career path? So that's what we're getting at. So what is the value of working for you? Because I don't hate my job. I love what I do. And I don't want my employees to hate my job, to hate their jobs, because they're going to leave and I'm going to get stuck with the guy who just picked up a t-shirt off the rack. So when you want to hire that first person and when you want to grow your company, you really need to think about like what you have to offer them. And it doesn't mean you have to offer them benefits and fancy vacations and all. You don't have to do that, but you have to pay attention to what matters to them. And
am I jumping ahead by talking about like being the kind of boss you would want to work for? It's still tailing on that and things. So like one of the things early on, and I feel like I say this ad nauseum. I say this all the time, but like again, being a company you would want to work at, be it a young startup and it's just you and whatever, but about being the leader of that element, right? Like here's the way I looked at it. I knew when I was working by myself and I started my company right out of high school, actually my last year in high school, I knew how much stuff I broke in a week, a month, a year. I forgot something, lose something, break something, whatever the case is. I knew how much I did that. And I freaking give a crap, right? I just inherently knew. I've done a lot of things really badly in business, but there are some things I praise the Lord, was half decent in understanding. But I knew every person I hired thereafter would be a multiple of that amount of stuff getting broken, backed over. Why would you do that kind of questions, that kind of stuff. And so I knew that going into it. So what I realized quickly is I didn't want to be the boss or the employer or whatever that is yelling at guys, right? You don't want to get yelled at. It's bad enough I mess up something of hers and I get a whole earful. I don't want that, right? So as an employer, you think your employees want to get yelled at? They already know they screwed up. What good is yelling at them going to do, right?
Chances are that's why you're self-employed.
And so the more you yell at people, if you do that, shame on you. But like, if you are rude and mean to your employees when they screw up, because can't imagine the owner ever screwing up, you're gonna have a hard time keeping good people on staff. And what's worse, the people that stay on and when they break something, it's always going to be, how'd this get broken? That's what you're going to get when you destroy that accountability with your team, and they're afraid to tell you that they broke something. So you've got to be the kind of guy.
Okay, so another thing we need to do is we need to spend the dream. So like I said a little bit ago, where are they going? What we did for our guys is we worked out of a storage unit for how many?
Forever.
For up until last year. It's like 19 years. And we just kept telling our guys, like, hang in there. We're going to build a shop and we're going to grow the company. We're going to add on these services and, we're going to get you 2 weeks vacation. We're going to offer retirement accounts and stuff. Just hang in there. And we kept spinning the dream, telling them where we were going, telling them what their life would look like. And that was really big. We have no turnover.
Which can be good and bad. There's a whole conversation that can be said about that. The spinning the dream, that's a Fullertonism, if you guys are familiar with Brian. But it's something I picked up from him and something I realized I was doing, and I didn't really realize it, but it was like going way back. We're doing landscaping. Guys, I know we're wheelbarrowing all this freaking mulch right now. Next year, if we can get through this year, guys, we're saving up for a down payment or we're saving up for a machine. We're gonna have a mini skid steer loader next year. Just hang in here, guys. I swear we're making this happen. We're gonna do it. We're spinning that dream. And then the year after that, we're gonna have a freaking dump truck. I know we're making them do with the dump trailer now, but we're gonna have an actual dump truck. And so we're telling the guys and showing the team where we're going.
And winners won't work for losers.
And that's the truth. And this comes back to again, a key tenet. If you are not constantly improving yourself, how in the world can you expect your teammates to want to do any better, ever? Right? So if you're not constantly reading, coming to stuff like this, bettering yourself, how in the world can you expect, as a leader, your team to even be inspired to do any better in their own personal lives or professional lives? And that's a big thing. And a lot of this stuff, folks, I haven't figured out for the longest time. I have not figured out for the longest time. And that's why I'm so happy and passionate to share with people, to save maybe some folks from going bankrupt because they got behind on their tax payments and didn't collect sales tax on time and didn't turn in. I mean, that's how I went broke. I got to where, like, I worked 14 hours in the field today. I don't want to do the books. I'll do it tomorrow. Or, hey, this month sucked. Can't pay our bills. Next month's going to be better. We'll bid the jobs better. We'll we'll do that one job, get in the neighborhood. That'll make it, honey. That'll make the company. All right? Everybody do that kind of stuff? Or am I the only dumb one in the room? But like, I did all that stuff. And again, so if I can share and be vulnerable of, I've been bankrupt. That's really embarrassing. Who wants to say that, right? I've crashed my first company. Like, I don't want to say that, but if I can help because I'm selfless, baby Billy, that's like but if I can save someone else that fate, here we are. Nobody got the meme reference?
No.
By the time I pay my scientists. Okay.
Just talk about hiring your replacement.
Oh, is it my turn again?
Yeah.
Oh, God, these poor people. All right. Creel's like, all right, off the docket next year. Yeah, what am I doing here?
Hiring your replacement.
Oh, hiring your replacement. So this is something I got from Corey Ballard, a genius in the industry, really, really smart dude with that stuff. And he'll tell you some great stories of things he's done right and wrong in business. And I always love hearing him talk. Hiring your replacement. What we don't want to hire, and this was a mindset shift for me, we don't want to hire, be it lawn care or in hardscaping like us, and hardscaping is like pavers, retaining walls, that kind of stuff, in case you're not familiar with that, or a spray tech or whatever we're doing. We don't want to hire the weed whacker holder guy. That's not who we want to hire. We want to hire our direct replacement. We want to hire the first and next foreman. That's ideally who we're aiming at. We don't want to hire the guy that is only going to run the weed whacker, the trimmer, or whatever, and you're always on the zero turn. That's not the dude we want. We want the dude that can take your job and allow you to get out of the field. That's how we get out of the field if we want to grow crew number 2 or 10 or whatever. So we're hiring our direct replacement, not the weed whacker holder guy or the guy that carries the bricks across the job site.
You can still hire those people.
Yeah,
but you need to look at them as trainable, like you're training them.
And that's the other thing. We're looking for people that are that are coachable, that are trainable, and willing and want to actually all I've got experience is on a weed string trimmer. Cool. Do you have interest in like maybe running a crew someday? Do you have those people skills? Meanwhile, hey, I've been reading this book. What do you think of you ever heard of this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, or any leadership book or any better? Again, that comes back to like, if they don't see you constantly on working and getting better, why on earth would they even consider being better at their own professional career? And so we want to hire, and we want to be looking at hiring the next person, your first right-hand person, capable of taking your job. That's the idea.
Essentially someone that wants to run their own business, they just don't want the crappy business part of it. So we need a long-term employee and then someone who understands their purpose in the company. Just for you in the back, the quote down at the bottom says, if you hire good people, give them good jobs, and pay them good wages, generally something good is going to happen. Take care of your guys. Okay, our biggest job as an owner is to create systems and processes to get people to do what you need them to do. It is in your employee's job to grow the company.
Yeah, so this is a big part of, again, the leadership thing and you being the best leader you can be. Understanding your people are going to screw up, but if they screwed up because of a decision they made, hooray, they made a decision. And they didn't wait 10 minutes to get a hold of you to call you to make a decision. And we need to, and this is again a book I just read, Thinking Fast and Slow, but the premise with that was we need to celebrate that they made their own decision, right? And that's what we need to train and coach our people into, to where it's no longer like a surprise that they actually made their own decision. If it was the wrong decision, we need to talk about it and say, help me understand how you made that. Tell me why you thought it was better to start in the backfield, mowing than up front where we normally do. Help me understand where you're coming from on that. One of the best examples of this is, in this case right here, folks, if I took a spray can of paint and I painted between me and you a number 6 on the floor. It's a 6. Can't you read? What's wrong with you? But from your perspective, it's a 9, right? And so the whole world works that way. The way some people are looking at it from that way, to me, it's a 6 to me, it's a 9 to you. Tell me how it's a 9 to you. I can't wrap my head around. Oh, I see you come around. Oh, yeah, that's how the world, when there's a misunderstanding, 9 times out of 10, that's what it is. Just someone saw it differently than you. And so talk to your team about why they made that decision or why you see it as wrong, but have them justify it first, and then we'll work backwards.
So on the flip side of that, what you tolerate, you'll get more of. So there still has to be accountability. So when your guys do the 6 thing or whatever, and it turns out to be the wrong way, we still have to talk about like why that was the wrong way. So what no accountability looks like, especially in this industry, is there's no clear project timelines given or tracked. And on our end of things, we do larger projects, so we could be on there for 2 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever. And it can even go down to like each mow route. You have to get 5 properties done today or 10 properties done or whatever it is. We have to give clear guidelines for them to follow. Damaged tools or equipment, Caleb kind of talked about that. We need to let people know, like, hey, you broke 4 string trimmers this month. Maybe we need to do a lesson on how to train for that. You have problems when you get no ownership in their mistakes, consistently late or no-shows. That holds back your entire crew. And eventually all the people that are there on time start to resent you and that team member because you're not doing anything about it.
And that is heavy on the what you tolerate, you get more of. One guy is late and becomes a habit. The other guy's like, well, Bob's late all the time and 2 minutes late. The boss doesn't say anything to me or them about it. Guess it's really not a big deal. If I stop and get coffee, I'll be a couple minutes late, no big deal. And there we go. There begins the spiral. So what you tolerate, you get more of. Absolutely.
And what that 5 minutes late or 10 minutes late is, that's holding your entire crew back. If you have a crew of 3 guys, that's 30 minutes. They do that every day for a week or a month. And you put a number on that, you actually quantify what profit you're losing because they stopped for coffee every day and held the entire team back. You're not going to be happy with the number at the end of the year.
You just start looking at what your crew costs you to sit still for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You start to work that out to a month, and it ends up being hundreds of dollars. It's like load unload time in the morning. If you don't have enclosed trailers and you got to unload all your stuff every day, that 10 minutes a day you're paying guys to load and unload every night. I promise you, if you run the math on that, it will justify the payment. And I'm not telling anybody to go into debt, but I don't have a problem with it if it makes money. That will justify the payment on an enclosed trailer, just stopping the people loading and unloading a trailer every day. And right there, more money in your pocket right out the gate that you can share with your team. That's a whole nother, boy, that's a whole nother thing. It's off script. Maybe we'll get to it.
And then again, you know, if your team has no knowledge of what the company goals are and what their career path is, they don't know where they're going. They have nothing to work towards. Everyone needs a goal. Everyone likes to work towards a goal. If you ask your employee today, did you do a good job today? What would they say? Are they proud of what they do?
And to run back on like no knowledge of career path. Well, I'm a one man mow company that's adding. We're 2 guys. How is there a career path? That's part of company culture. Some folks don't want to go work for a big corporation. They don't even want to come work for us because we're a 4-person company that's pretty strict. But it's like, hey, I'm looking for a right-hand man. It's my ride or die for mowing. I mean, you advertise what you're looking for, right? And that's it. Or, hey, we're looking for our first right-hand man that can help us take this company to 3 crews. And do you want to be my first team lead that will then oversee all 3 teams and within 5 years or whatever? That's what the career path looks like. And there are some people that's going to be very attractive to, and there's some folks it won't. But that's why by setting these expectations, you begin to find the kind of team, and by the way, the team members we're looking for. And we get to the I, not we, and all that stuff, right? Or not we, not I, we, and all that.
Right. Okay, so what happens when we get in a problem situation? What happens when your equipment gets damaged all the time, or we're running over on projects, or we're running over on the days that we have to finish the projects, or someone's late all the time? We could write them up. That's what they do in corporate America. They put it in their file. They do all the corporate America things. A different approach for small businesses is, we talk about it. What do you think the acceptable amount of machine damages is? Like, what do you think is acceptable? As the employee. I am the owner and you are the employee. And you would hopefully say none, right?
Right, okay.
Okay.
You left field me there, sorry.
Okay.
I was thinking of the next tangent I was about to go on. Totally
So then
blindsided me.
we'll go back and forth. Okay, so we've had 3 in the past month. What's something that we can do to change that? What do you think?
Right, and again, you're asking me as an employee.
As you're still the employee, yes.
Sir, you've never showed me how to
Actually, you
run.
work for me regardless.
Yeah, fair enough. And a little passive-aggressive thing. Come to Together in the Trades if you want to learn to work through that. But I mean, ultimately, and as an owner boss, right, it's the owner's fault. No, I can't say as an employee, but you just threw me in this thing Monday morning. I've never run it before in my life, and I'm doing the best I can.
Okay.
Right, and I told you that.
So you think that if you have more training hours, if we gave you, specialized time training, then that's something that we could fix?
Maybe.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay, and so then we have a metric. We have an accountability. It's something that I didn't tell them to do. They came up with the solution themselves, and they agreed on it. And so now we essentially have a contract between us. And then if the contract still fails, it's like, well, you didn't show up for your training. There is nothing I can do now at this point. And so you do that back and forth with all the problems that arise within your company. Instead of just disciplining them, instead of just yelling at them, You make your employee come up with the solution to the problem.
By the way, if you just off topic again, but if you want, when it comes to the hiring, if you want a weed whacker holder, have your employee, your first meeting with them or interview with them at 3, 4, 5, 6 in the afternoon. If you want a killer and a hustler, have that thing at 7 in the morning. And if they show up, right, there's a good sign, right?
And then, so here's an example of a training process that we would go through for someone new.
Yeah, this is something I picked up from Keith Galfus back in the day. And by the way, I'm not saying these big names as like a name drop or whatever. I'm trying to pay homage and give credit to, right, to the folks that are so much smarter than me, and I pick all this stuff up from. But this was a cool thing from Keith, but it was, say, for low voltage lighting and stuff like that. Or how we edge a sidewalk, you name it, whatever. But we're going to run through this process with a new hire and maybe even as a refresh for 2-3 months down the road. We're going to show the employee how to do it. This is how we wire nut low voltage lighting system together, or an irrigation connection, or we spray the crepe myrtles with pendimethalin or whatever chemical. I'm out of that world now. I don't have my license with it anymore. I don't know what you spray anymore. But we show them how to do it. Cool, done. Now we let them teach us back. Okay, how do we do this? Show me how we do this now. And we work through that. We fix all that. Then the cool thing here is we have them show the next guy in the company how to do that. And we make this training daisy chain like this. All the while, we're overseeing, we're making sure we're not, putting incorrect information out there when we start to daisy chain down. But this is a really cool way. So show them, let them show you, and then work on having them show the next guy, and doing reviews all the while. Standard operating procedures. Something my firefighter buddy Bill Ciparoni back home, in their fire station or their firehouse or whatever you call it, they call it general operating guidelines, GOGs, not SOPs. And we got into that and talking about that, of why. Well, standard operating procedures implies that this is what we do no matter what the circumstance. In trades like ours, where we have to be so multidisciplinary, we need to know a little bit of irrigation. We need to know at least that thing's getting eaten up by bugs. I don't know what, but you need to talk to Jason, there to get those things sprayed. So we go down that road. But the thing is, we got to know so much different stuff. We got to roll through different things. I lost my train of thought. Again, not a professional speaker, folks. I don't do it.
Okay, so let
me roll through this. But the reason it calls it general operating guidelines is so that, if you stray from the general operating guideline, they can then justify back why they strayed from it. If it's an SOP, it's a union thing actually with them. If they strayed from SOP, they're in trouble, right? But if they call it a GOG, now it's like, well, you strayed from the GOG, tell us why and how, and you can justify it and not get written up. And so I thought that was really slick. I thought that was a cool thing. Sorry, Britt.
Bringing the standard operating procedures full circle.
Nobody's going to believe that we're professional speakers.
When you're hiring your new crew, so we call it the way that Auman does business. All of our fire extinguishers are on the same side of every truck behind the driver's seat. We have a manual in the trucks on where things are and how everything's labeled. The more systematized you can make your life and your company, the easier it will be to hire someone. We have a couple apps where we could walk around our shop and take a video and say, this is where our chemicals are, this is where our string trimmer line is, this is where shovels are kept, this is where paint is kept. And that way that they know exactly where everything is. They're not taking my time to look for something. They just have to hop on this app and find the video and look where it's at. So anything that you can systematize will save training and time within your company.
A good example with another GOG or standard operating procedure is and something as simple as mulching, or a spring cleanup. And at Auman, it's this way. We will not take care of a property if we are not doing the deadheading. I'll cut some slack off, the homeowner does it. But our guys know if there's perennials in the spring cleanup, let's say, for landscape, bed maintenance, gardening, that kind of stuff. We know, and our Auman team knows, that if there are perennials in the bed need deadheaded, we're deadheading them. If a taxus or a boxwood shrub needs sheared, we're going to shear it. That's just always part of the package. And they know if we're putting down mulch, we are always cutting at a fresh new trench edge along the beds. We never stray from that. It's always a given. So it's not like, oh, did you edge Miss Smith? Like, crap, we didn't price that in. They got it for free now. There's never any straying from that. So our guys know, hey, we got a mulch project at Mrs. Herf and Herblers at 1440 Allspaw Road, whatever. They know exactly what they're supposed to do every time. It takes this amount of mulch, because we give them a write-up on it. they go. But they know exactly what they're going to do every time. That's key to getting out of the truck. But if every job is super unique and Mrs. Herfenherbler wants that bed done, but not this one, but this one here, and then this one like that, no, we've got to standardize services. That's how we scale. It's the only way to grow. We can't get that custom without charging an arm and a leg for that stuff, which is awesome if you can do that, and that's the kind of company you want to make. I'm all for that.
And a lot of you guys have all this information up here. It might not be wrote down somewhere, and that's going to take a minute. But if you just pick one task at a time and you think, okay, what happens every single time we send the mulch crew out? Well, you make a list of everything that goes on the truck. And you then make a list of what happens when you go to the property. Like for us, we put a job sign out immediately. That way, in case someone coming through the neighborhood sees us mulching, they have our name and our number. And then like someone goes around and they start edging and then stuff gets unloaded. And there is a standard operating procedure. And it's, like I said, it seems overwhelming to think about writing everything down in your company. What this will create is an operating manual. You'll put all this in a manual. And you'll give it to your new hires so they know, and you can quiz them, you can have them study it, you can do whatever you want, but just take the time to do it. It's going to be hard, but I promise it'll be worth it.
And it can be done with your mowing routes and treatment routes, whatever, and you may already do this or know this, is like the second week of the month, we always stick edge. It's the only time we stick edge properties, or whatever the case is. There's a way to systematize everything. And so your crew knows, oh, it's the second week, we stick edge this week, every property, no matter if it needs it or not, whatever, what we do.
Okay, the other thing you're going to need when you hire your first crew is a company handbook. We hired an HR company to make ours, and then we slowly, what?
I'm doing
Okay.
the weave thing the whole time, sorry.
So we hired an HR company to make our company handbook, and then we kind of edited it and went back and forth with them. So what the company handbook does is it sets clear expectations of your company. We have everything in here. I can't read it, but there's like a lactation time in there. It's stuff that probably won't apply to our company, but it's
what?
Like for nursing mothers.
I just want to make sure I heard that with the rest of you. A lactation consultant thing's in our handbook?
Yeah, but it's like
who's the guide on that? I want to know.
They wrote it in there in case like we would hire an admin that would be a nursing mother.
So we had our own company handbook, and then we had another company look over it. Yeah, and they put that in there.
Our company handbook is very thorough. So it's something to fall back on. So we had an issue where we started paying for holidays. The first year we started paying holidays. The guys wanted to know what holidays were included. They thought all the Hallmark holidays were included. And that was not the case. So we were able to say, hey guys, check the handbook that you signed at the beginning of the year. All the holidays are listed there. And that eliminated it. There was no like back and forth. They had the handbook. They signed off on it. They knew the deal. So it wasn't like, well, you paid us for it last year. No, we didn't.
Yeah, I mean, real world story. Just even 2 or 3 years ago, the guys were like, hey, I can't remember what the holiday was, but like President's Day or something. Like, oh, no, we got paid for President's Day last year. And so then we had the handbook in tow. And it's like, no, guys, check your handbook. We only pay. It's in the handbook. You signed it. But I mean, like up until we proved it with the handbook, it was a little bit of disgruntlement. They're like, no, dude, no. We got paid. No. Well, in the handbook, we don't pay it. And that was the be-all, end-all, not a he said, she said, I thought you said thing, right? That's
And
where handbook really
The
helps.
first year we implemented it, we did go through every single page of it with them because it was a new living document for us. We constantly update it as things change and as the world changes. So like there was a COVID policy in there now. And every time we update it, we print out a new sheet and give it to them. They sign that they received it, and we keep that in their file. So.
And one other thing is you have a new hire and you're spinning the dream of where we're going as a company. Here's our handbook. Read it over. Make sure you agree with it. You're going to sign this and agree to all the terms in here. And it's got, media waivers. It's really very complete. Almost, it'd be, gosh, Britt, if only we could buy this somewhere. Where could people get some? hardscapeacademy.com. No, hard sell there, right? But no, these are available online everywhere. Your bookkeepers might have them. They're freaking everywhere. Get one or just start a basic one. You literally can just write out on a sheet of paper your RAIN policy. You can start making your own and build it up through the years as you go. You don't have to buy a $400 handbook from us. You can get it on the internet for free. Have ChatGPT write you one maybe if you're not using AI for that. Whatever. You can do this.
And a lot of these things that we're talking about implementing within your company, you're like, well, like my guys are going to think this is ridiculous. They are. They are absolutely going to think that this is ridiculous. And we've gotten a lot of pushback. You're going over there. But we've gotten a lot of pushback on implementing these new systems because we have one guy that's been with us from day one, 20 years, and he's seen the company go from working out of the house to out of the storage unit to like drunken nights and sober night. It's just we've all seen all phases of our lives. And so every time we're trying to implement something new, he's not the most accepting of the change. So it is.
Who's this guy? I didn't. You talking about me?
No, well, I wasn't, but you could be included in that conversation. Yeah. So anyways, don't get discouraged. You are going to get pushback, but you just got to keep pushing forward. One thing that we've implemented this year with our team, we have scheduled one-on-one meetings with everyone, literally just me and Caleb and this person, quarterly. And we talk about what are we doing well? What do you not like that we're doing? Do you have any ideas or suggestions? And something I asked last month was, where do you want to be in 5 years? I really wanted to see who was planning on sticking around, who saw this as a career for themselves, and what position they wanted. So like one of our guys is like, hey, I don't mind laying pavers now, but I want to learn sales and estimating. I want to transition into that at some point. And so we focused a little bit on that over the winter, and he looked over some of Caleb's biz, and he went on a couple sales calls. And so we're going to start grooming him for that because we want him to stay. He's a good employee. Another guy was really interested in power washing and cleaning pavers.
Hardscape restoration, yeah.
And I was like, is that something you would want to still do in 5 years? He's like, yeah. He's like, I really love that. I love the before and after.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
and it's
cool.
low impact too. It's not picking up 80-pound block and stuff like that. So
right.
that's
and
a
so
way
like,
we all grow as a
once
company.
you find a good employee, you need to figure out how you take care of them. And just simply asking for feedback. And what we're doing in these meetings is we're setting goals like, okay, great. Like, let's work towards this for the next quarter. And then that is our measurable metric. We talked about measuring like your marketing metrics and seeing like what ads come off of Facebook and what ads might come off of, your postcards mailings. We're going to keep metrics with our employees too. Another thing we'll ask them is like, what motivates you? Is it time off? Is it just simply more money? Do you want physical gifts? One of our guys wants golf memberships. So just like I said, sometimes it's not necessarily they want a $5,000 raise. Some people just want a few days off a year, or they want to make sure that they can golf with their dad on, like Veterans Day or whatever it is, figure out what it is that makes them move. And then seeking input from the team. We're not in the field anymore ever, so we don't really know what's going on out there. We don't know what they're missing or what's maybe not necessary all the time. I know we bought a lot of things that we thought were really cool that the guys didn't find useful. So you really got to be careful with that once you do remove yourself from the field. But seeking their input, and they're like, what'd they say they wanted this year? Another ants trailer or something?
Yeah. And that's where your team will tell you if you ask and if you listen. And if you do this often enough, you'll get more and more honest feedback. And kind of a funny thing for a while we got caught up in was I got caught up in macro efficiency things. And so we bought a big international dump truck, and then we bought a Toro buggy, and we spent like $150,000 one year on all this stuff, big tool stuff. And I barely got that's cool out of the guys, barely anything. We just dropped a ton of money, right? Like, what the hell? This is awesome. Like, all this stuff. There's a part of this where the story will go, and I'll get back to it. Then, like, later that year or whatever in the fall, one of those brand, like, 28-ounce tube SRW or hardscape glue gun, right? And then we bought these pneumatic hand grabo lifter things for handling hardscape caps and stuff like that. And I got texts for, like, a couple hours from the guys, oh, this stuff's awesome. These things are sweet. $3,000 investment. And I got texts randomly saying how awesome these tools were for $3,000. And I spent $150,000 earlier in the summer and didn't get a word. But I didn't talk to them about it. Now there's a line here of like, you are, as the owners, you are the visionaries. You are the people that know where the company is going, and you have to be the leader. I know we needed that stuff. I know we needed that dump truck. I know we need that buggy. I know we need all that stuff. So as a leader, we still have to push forward on some things. But I also wasn't asking the guys, hey, what do you think we really need here? And it was just some simple little stuff, made them super happy. It was really frustrating, but they were happy. And so talking to your team, they will tell you more than you might think they will.
Okay, and we have some
Which is, by the way, a huge shortcoming as a leader on my part. I want to own up to that totally. A huge shortcoming on my part. I got to a point where I got a little disgruntled with business and stuff years ago to where I was like, these guys don't care. And they're guys I've had forever. I'm like, these guys don't care. They don't tell me anything. They don't tell me what they But I didn't ask. And that was a failure in me as a leader. And anything that sucks in your company is your fault, is my fault, is your fault. The leader, it falls on the leader. It's not your guy's fault that they are talentless nobodies that show up late. You hired them. What's wrong with you, right? And I've hired plenty of those dudes, believe me. And so, like, it all falls on the leader. And Jocko Willink's thing, extreme ownership, he's exactly right. Everything is your fault, so fix it and work on it. And I say it back to myself. I'm looking in the mirror when I'm saying this stuff. I still got a lot of stuff to work.
We have just a little bit more, Jason.
You're stuck with us 14 minutes.
Okay. All right. So last little slide here. Never use the phrase "in my company." I built this. It's my equipment. We need to, once you hire people, we need to get into the mind frame that we're one big family, especially when we're still small. So our company built this, or we pride ourselves on this in our company. It's not just Caleb and I's company. It's our company. They're building the company for us. We're putting the work out there for them, but they're building this for us.
Well, they're building this with us. That's the thing. I don't even like calling it a family. I don't think that's the right way to go with a company. It's not really a family thing, but I do believe it's a team. I do wholeheartedly believe we're a team working to provide for all our individual families, right? And the coach or whatever, we are a team. I don't subscribe to the family thing so much because guess what? At the end of the day, folks, it's employment. And they'll quit you if they have to, and we'll let them go if we have to, right? And by the way, we may do the same thing as family stuff too, right? But I really go with the team thing. So I've really gotten hard on saying the team. It's a team effort.
Okay. Remember, your internal problems are going to permeate through.
Yeah, and so what that comes back to is somewhere I have screwed up over the years was, and it's been a thing we're working on rejuvenating the company, is being solutions-based with optimism, right? And so, like, I let some things go for a while to where we let too much sarcasm get into the company of like, oh, this job sucks, this client stinks, this is the...
And we're not saying you can't joke about that.
No, totally. But I feel like it took too much root. And it got a little bit away from, because our team's very talented, our team's very good. And they were getting frustrated, especially on the job a couple years ago, where we were fixing a lot of stuff on site that was just like insane what these trades did. But that's not our fault. It's our client hiring crappy contractors, and we came in and cleaned up a lot of mess. But our guys why are we always the ones cleaning up? Like, because you have the skill set and mentality and know how to do it, and we should be very proud of that.
But we didn't frame it like that.
And we didn't frame it like that.
Just
like, yeah, it
laughed
sucks. We're always
about
cleaning
it.
up everybody's screw-ups. But what we didn't hammer on, and we do now, is like, that's a reason we got called in to clean up the mess, is because we are the go-tos. We are the people with a talented team that can fix all this other craziness. So culture is a big deal in your company. And it's probably in business one of my biggest regrets, aside from not knowing my numbers and hiring a bookkeeper and all that stuff, is I didn't set a more optimistic, we can fix this, Bob the Builder, kind of mentality, right? And so make sure your culture, even at 1 and 2 people, you realize what kind of culture you're setting into your company. And whatever your own insecurities are, just like with your raising your children, if you're not careful, that's going to come out in them and your team. So if you're always trash talking your clients, your team's not going to have any respect for them either. Right? So stuff like that, watch how that permeates through.
Like we touched on earlier, people just want to do a good job. So give them the opportunity to. If you want any of these slides or more information on anything, just find me and I'll give you the link to anything that you need.
Yeah, and that's like an Alan Hain thing. Then we got your email. Right? So you learn from people doing what you want to do, right? You look at people where they're going. Britt, can I run through my checklist of stuff here?
Paul's coming up, so you gotta hurry before he gets here. Hurry.
The Grammy music's playing.
Hurry.
A few things for you young guys in the audience too, and this is just an old man. I'm just an old guy up here yelling now at this point, but like I've got tinnitus really bad. Anybody know what tinnitus is? What? It's the ringing in your ears. It's from me running mowers for 15 years without hearing protection. I'm telling you, and you won't listen to me anyhow, but for God's sake, get some isotunes or whatever.
We didn't come here for a public health announcement.
I know, right? Well, I told you, I'm the old guy now giving advice
All right,
nobody
just
wants.
get off stage.
Okay, so last couple things here. I wanted to mention a couple things here. Rookie's route density, I don't know if he's even in here. I've always admired that about him with his route density, because that's something in my lawn care days I never did. I was all over the county mowing all over the place, led to me going broke. And in his voicemail thing that he played, I'm glad he played that. I think that is so awesome of a way to pre-qualify clientele. And we want clientele, right? Clientele hire you for your knowledge. Customers hire you for a price. We want clientele. We want to be that professional that, man, Auman knows what they're talking about. That's why we're calling them. We're going to call Bob because he's cheapest on this. But I don't want to be called, because I want to be known for our knowledge and capability. Saying no, that's something I still struggle with. I'm still working on that. Battery-powered stuff, I do believe in that stuff. Not for environmental reasons. I don't think that's like a thing yet. But I do believe it for convenience. It is incredibly convenient, all the battery stuff, for blowers, for dusting off tops of retaining walls before we put the next block on. Instead of getting a gas blower out, firing it up, blow it off, we just grab that leaf blower, buzz that thing off, layer next course of block. So convenience is where the EV or the electric stuff is for me. I really believe that. Interesting on the quiet backpack thing, because this has been a conversation here today, and again, a lot of lawn here. We've been in Destin for a few days here prior to this, and Fullerton was podcasting on the porch. I'm in the house doing business and writing some estimates up and stuff, and maintenance company stops by with a big, I don't know the blowers anymore, BR700 monster 8,000 horsepower blower, and it was really loud. And being inside working, I was like, that noise thing, it's interesting. And so if we touted ourselves, it just made me think, like, if we touted ourselves like, hey, we run, even as a hardscape company, we run equipment that's a little more quiet, especially if you're working from home. I thought that was interesting. One thing, too, with all the technology and the AI and all the stuff, and Jason's arm's going to break because he's holding up all the Gatorade. You want to be, hey, by contract, I still got like 6 minutes, so I don't. No. All right, boo me off the stage. But don't be, here's one last thing with technology stuff. Don't be the wagon wheel maker as cars are coming along, right? Don't be Kodak. If anybody's old enough to remember Kodak. You got to advance. You got to progress. Thank you, folks.
I'm leaving you up there. Come on.
Good job. Good job, man.
Thank you. All right. Is Hanson's Lawn Care here today in Illinois? Did he make it? It's your birthday, right? All right, we're going to sing him happy birthday. But when it gets to the awkward part where you say his name, it's Hanson's Lawn Care. Now, I'm not good at singing. Is anybody here good at singing to get us started? Come here, sweetie. Oh, Megan?
Oh, no, not
Come
at all.
here. Get us started. So we're going to sing happy birthday, Hanson's Lawn Care. Ready? Start.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday
To you. Happy birthday, dear Hanson's Lawn Care. Happy birthday to you. So he DM'd me. He's like, it's my birthday. Should I still come? I was like, come on. So I hope it's been worth it. So these are our sponsors. Megan Coberly. This is her husband, Joey. And I guess it was 4 years ago, I attended this event. I sat in the back. They were over there. And at the time, I didn't know my numbers. I know Caleb, Caleb and Brittany, it's hard for them to say, we've been in business for 23 years and we just now got a bookkeeper. But I was similar. I had a bookkeeper, but it wasn't anything to brag about. And I kept seeing Joey over there, and you guys were so impressive. And so I was so shy because I was like, you guys think you can maybe, work with me? And we hopped on a call for 15 minutes. And I think I've worked with you guys for 4 years now. And
Fourth year.
yeah, so it's truly, you guys can tell them. I know Caleb says it's not about revenue, but my revenue's up. But what else is up?
Oh, bottom line, cash flow, it's all there.
Yeah, I bought a truck last year in cash, and I wanted to buy it a year ago, but Joey's like, I don't think you're quite ready for it. Why don't we save a little bit more? And I saved, and I bought an F-150 in cash. So I personally, for 4 years, have used Megan and Joey. Joey's kind of mean sometimes. So he don't look like it, but he told me, he's like, Paul, your revenue's going up, but your expenses are going up. And like, we gotta get the expenses. You can't just keep spending money like this. And so he's, that changed my life because then I had margin. So these guys, I can't say enough good things about Megan and Joey, and every month getting on the call with them and you guys just talking about my balance sheet, my statement of cash flows, and the profit and loss statement. Like, I feel like I know my numbers. Like, I look forward to talking to you guys, and it's awesome to see my financial life changing because you've helped me.
You talk about your numbers better too
Just get
now.
off those statements like boom, boom, boom. Paul 2 years ago would have been like, my profit
Cash
loss.
flow.
Now, Joe, you got to talk in the mic.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry. Anyway.
Raise your hand if you guys use Megan and Joey. Or stand up, rather. Yeah. Am I telling the truth, Kevin?
Thank you. Thank you.
Have you guys all had positive experiences using them? So give a quick overview of what it actually looks like to onboard our numbers with your company.
Sure. So if you want the onboarding process, it's a 15-minute to start. There's quite a bit of 15 minutes already happening back there, not even on the phone, just in person. And then we'll move to a 1-hour onboarding consultation, or not even onboarding consultation. It's just a 1-hour consultation. I'm still going to be asking pretty surface level questions of you. And then my goal of that 1-hour consultation is to get enough information from you to turn around and send your proposal. So it's all free up until the proposal is signed by you. And then, yes, I will start charging your bank account.
And I mean, Kevin could get up here. Any of you guys who use them could get up here and share these testimonies. But as business owners, when we have a clarity of what's actually going on with our numbers, like it gives me peace of mind. And like I can't explain enough how grateful I am to you, Joey and Megan, and just like how much you guys have changed my business. And I don't know what else to say other than these guys are quality. I would hire them as your bookkeepers.
Awesome. Well, it's been great to see you progress. Like Joey said, used to be you couldn't even spit the terminology out, and here you are just basically giving us a speech for us. And so we really appreciate the opportunity to work with you, to see that top line. If you're interested, what differentiates us from maybe other bookkeepers, and honestly, it's kind of funny, John is sitting next to us. I know he does some similar work, but he leaned over, he's like, we haven't even talked yet. I was like, I know, we've been so busy. But if you'd like to know just a little bit about us, we differentiate ourselves by meeting with you personally in a monthly meeting. And we do that 10 months out of the year. We don't meet December or January. December, nobody shows up, which is fine with us, gives us a chance to not be behind the screen. But we are gonna be doing the things that Brittany talked about. We're gonna be reconciling your bank accounts, doing our best to make sure you don't have to get in QuickBooks or be in YouTube videos about QuickBooks in the evening. That is our job, and we do actually enjoy it. Like Brittany said, we're those weird ones that enjoy it. Would much rather be behind the computer, but we'll take all that information. And our goal of bookkeeping is not just to have clean books. I mean, it's a wonderful plus come tax time, but our goal of cleaning up your books and getting it organized month to month would be to be able to use that in order to teach you about your financial statements. So it's really about the reporting aspect and making sure things are showing up on your profit and loss correctly, and then teaching you about that. And so I was a teacher before I ended up starting my business. Another plus is that we're small business owners trying to do the same thing you're trying to do, grow a business, and so we can marry that that business idea or the large scale information and bring it to your specific niche. We only work with lawn care bookkeepers, and so that's what we're doing in the monthly meetings. We're tying off a knot to your previous month, making sure things look good, but then talking all things lawn care and learning more about you that way.
Yeah, and shout outs to John Pajak. I know he's gotten the most shout outs. Everyone's like, Pajak is awesome. He talks about these break-even points. And it was probably 2021, Joey, when you kind of looked at me and you're like, you have to hit this amount as your break-even. And I've been on a hot streak since then. I don't know how many months
never
it's
regressed.
been.
Yeah.
My revenue has hit that break-even. So every month has been margin and profitable.
Right. And you don't have any really cost of goods, so you're really just making straight profit after a certain point, which is what you've done. And
But I wouldn't have known without John and without Joey looking at my numbers. I wouldn't have known, and it's a 5-figure amount. It's not like I just have to make a little bit of money. It's like I got to make this amount every month to break even, and you guys showed me. And so it's for me, it's like a game. It's like, okay, I start on the first of the month. It's like, let's make money, and then by the 17th, it's like, yeah. It's like from this point on is profit, and then of course, you guys know what lifestyle creep is. It's when you start making more money, it's easy to spend more money, right? But Joey and Megan, and again, Megan's real nice, but Joey, he can get on you and slap your wrist and be like, don't spend it. And so they're super helpful. So
yeah, it's neat to see how you perceive us, because obviously we have our own ideas about what we do in the business and what goes on behind the scenes.
Joey intimidates me.
Apparently I'm the nice one. Thank you. But yes.
It's ever since you saw the mustache, it just freaks you out a little bit, I think. Nobody knew I had this until I just grilled up over November. We hadn't met with our clients for 2 months, and I just showed up at the conference with a mustache and like, who are you? Anyway, it was pretty good stuff. But yeah, I mean, really, I just want to see you guys succeed. So just giving you some benchmarks to work with and a framework and a foundation for financial knowledge and helping you think like an investor rather than just doing the work in the field. You got to marry the two, and that's the guys that really succeed. They think about how to invest, and they also think about how to do the job. And when you learn both of those, that's the guys that's making the multi-million-dollar companies. Because eventually you're going to take your profit out of your company. You're probably going to start other endeavors. You need to learn how to manage those businesses as well. So just solid business practices and what that looks like, managing your cost of goods, your gross profit margin, and learning how to calculate your overhead and those sorts of things. But really, that's what we do. We just really help marry investment knowledge with you guys doing what you guys do, which is work hard. Everybody here works their butt off, and so that deserves some I would say some reward at the end of your life. I hate seeing guys work 30 years and not have anything to show for it. So that's really what drives us at the end of the day.
Yeah, and that's why I was so intimidated to talk to you guys in 2020, because I was working hard and I was making money. But like Caleb said, I wasn't making those $600,000 like Caleb. But what I was making, it was all gone. I'm like,
Right.
I'm broke. Like I'm
Right.
working, I'm making money, but where's it all going?
Yeah.
And I was intimidated for you guys to see my numbers and be like, you loser, like
It's neat to see your transformation, Paul. That first 15 minute, you were nervous. I mean, you even
Terrified.
verbally said, like, I'm ashamed, I'm embarrassed, I'm extremely terrified about this, but let's try it out. And so, if perhaps that's your sticking point to one of that being your action item today of maybe having the starting conversation, if you're working past some of those emotions of shame and embarrassment, it's all a learning process. And so, yeah, check us out. We're back there in the booth. Do you have a Gatorade giveaway?
yeah.
Ready for that?
And do we have the Lowe's gift card too, or just
it's with
okay?
us.
So we're gonna
Yeah.
do this giveaway.
Alrighty. Do we still have Philip, and hopefully I say the right last name, Pettis? Is he still here?
Come on.
All
up.
right. Woo, we got our winner.
What did he win?
He has won how many gallons?
25 gallons.
25 gallons, if you care about the numbers, of Gatorade, and a $100 Lowe's gift card.
All right, and oh, he won everything.
Yep, he wins
Okay.
everything.
Get a picture, Megan and Joey, with Philip.
437, he guessed 438. And the next closest was 12 off, so he nailed
You
it.
want to show the card and get a picture here? Awesome. Well, we're gonna take a break, and then we're gonna have a Q&A panel. We have Jason Creole speaking on profit this afternoon, and then after Jason, we're doing the grand prizes. Crest has a blower to give away. We have the X-Mark mower to give away and whatnot. So go ahead and take a break, and we'll reconvene with the panel in about 10 minutes.